99 red balloons, but a bitch ain't one. Witch's cunt was always busy when the malarkey was in port. The lone toothless regulars would be sworn by a raucous and ramshackle gaggle of privateers, opportunists, roustabout, scallywags, salt dogs, prostitutes, scammers, urchins, drunkards, some fresh onto land after months away plundering, but most hoping to take advantage of the crew's newly acquired but always short-lived good nature and fortune. Frothy, pungent ales flowed freely into crusted mouths over swollen bellies and into the creaking floorboards. Bites, tall tales, gropes, mouldy pies and raft shanties were just as rampant. As it was Christmas Eve, most of the village were awake and all, many of whom were of respectable standing, reported that it was around 11:11 that a noxious gloopy red started staining the thick blanket into the snow that covered the village, spreading outwards from the dense forest that marked the village border. The villagers further reported a young, naked and bedraggled girl with matted hair walking towards them. She seemed to be the epicenter of the curious red tarnish in the pristine snow. It was John Parves, the cobbler, who took her in. Entries in his diary from that time state that she was unable to speak and shrank from human contact. As she grew, she remained unable to master the language when it would disappear for extended periods. After Mr. Parves passed on, she remained in his house with what seemed to be a daughter, fathered by the cobbler, shunned by the rest of the villagers. Grotesque parodies of aristocratic attire, two of the attendants dragged the boy in front of the judge. He struggled violently against the grip his jewelry wrapped in a morbidly percussive march. One of the attendants ripped his baseball cap off his head, and they forced him to his knees. Pseudo-memories, phantasmagoria, mentally projecting down through the ages, disembodied data merchant mirroring death in the abyss of sleep. It was in London at the turn of the century. During this case, a man was found dead in the middle of Downing Street, dressed in the finest suits available at that time. Although all of his name lapels had been cut out of his clothes, the only clue to his identity was a handkerchief monogrammed with the initial J. He was reported to be clutching a thin foil strip of tablets that did not correspond to any medication known at the time. His identity was never ascertained, although the investigation was hindered somewhat by the disappearance of the corpse 3 days after its discovery. Of course, the crew had been cursed to roam the sea as vague ghosts until they reached their home, so by sprinkling London soil on the deck they were set free. Although once the curse was lifted, so was its ghostly preservation of the ship, which then had a lot of decay to catch up on. We lost many men as it suddenly crumbled into the briny depths. It was a garish and lavish spectacle. The gallery was holding nothing back in their launch of tortured fashion and rape chic. Canapes of child blubber and kitten fetus soufflés were served to the usual intolerable crowd of meta-tattooists, unnecessary surgeons, gore weavers, body theorists, amongst the quite frankly pedestrian omni-limbed bondage contraptions and intel piercings. The obvious highlight was John Parves' Crimson Snow. His crimson snow, his statuesque model bedecked in negligee, while razor pendulum earrings lacerated her neck and shoulders as she stalked the catwalk, splashing patterns of blood over her flesh and dress, silhouetted against the dark unfolding sky. His 3 prongs of green hair tied back and grease-painted face both stained with blood and tears. Grimaldo the Weeping spurred his lumbering albino rhino down the slope towards the tavern. She had been working late at school to do some marking, and chancing to look out the window, was surprised to see a thick layer of crimson snow blanketing the playground. Her transfixed gaze was broken by the sound